Canada doesn't begin on the map. It begins in silence. In the cold breath of morning. In the soft sound of snow falling unhurriedly. In the golden reflection of sunlight on the ice. It's a land that doesn't shout. It whispers. And in that whisper, there are stories of pioneers, of ancient peoples, of forests that still keep their secrets. Here, the cold is not an enemy. It's part of the soul. An invitation to calm, to introspection. To the gaze that finds beauty in simplicity. Between mountains and seas, between the Atlantic and the Pacific, Canada stretches like a slow song. Woven from contrasts, from distances, from wonders. It's the country where the modern and the wild share the same horizon. Where technology reflects the sky and humankind still bows to nature. Each city, a universe. Each landscape, a poem. Each season, a story told by light. And it's in this vast, serene setting that our journey begins. Through 12 cities that reveal the soul of a nation. A country that is not merely visited, but felt. Toronto is movement. It's the heart that beats without pause in the chest of Canada. Between glass and lake, between concrete and wind, the city reflects what the country holds most human: diversity. 100 languages cross its streets. 1,000 stories meet in its cafes. Every face is an origin. Every gaze, a destination. The CN Tower watches from above. A modern lighthouse. Reminding us that even the heights belong to the earth. Around it, Lake Ontario breathes. Its waters mirror the skyscrapers, as if the sky and the city were one and the same. Toronto is metropolis and shelter. It rushes, yet knows how to wait. It is technology and art, rhythm and pause, day and night at once. In its markets, you feel the world. In its parks, silence speaks. And when the sun hides behind the towers, the city changes tone. But never loses its light. Because that's what Toronto is. A reflection in motion. A place where the future has already arrived. But still knows how to dream. Montreal is a bridge between worlds. a piece of Europe floating in America. An ancient echo that learned to dance with the new. Its cobblestone streets tell stories. Every window seems to guard a memory. Every corner carries an accent. Here, French is not just a language. It's rhythm. It's soul. It's poetry spoken slowly. In Vieux Montreal, time walks in silence. Cafes steam with warmth. And life happens with a charm that never hurries. In winter, snow covers everything in white. But beneath it, the city keeps breathing. In its underground tunnels, in its theaters, in its festivals that light up the cold. Because Montreal is like this. The colder it gets outside, the warmer it becomes within. Between Gothic churches and modern murals, between jazz and chanson, between the ancient and the digital, it found perfect balance. And when night falls over the St. Lawrence River, the city glows like a memory that refuses to be forgotten. Montreal is the language of longing, spoken in every tongue.
Quebec is not just a city. It is a living memory. A piece of history that refuses to become the past. Its walls guard time itself. Its narrow streets speak softly, as if afraid to wake the centuries. High above, the Chateau Frontenac watches everything. Majestic, still, like a castle lifted from a fairy tale. In winter, the city dresses in white. Lights shimmer on the snow, and every corner feels like a Christmas painting. The cafes warm the body, but it's the scenery that warms the soul. On balconies, flags flutter among snowflakes. In alleys, the smell of hot chocolate mingles with the cold. And on every face, there's a smile that seems to say, here, time walks slowly. Because in Quebec, hours don't pass. They rest. It's the city where the past never left, where modernity asks permission to enter. And when the snow falls upon its walls, the world seems to grow quiet, just to listen. To the heart of stone and dream that still beats atop old Quebec.
Ottawa is a pause between worlds. It is the calm breath of Canada. Here, haste loses its meaning. And time sits down for a conversation. The nation's capital does not shout. It whispers. Its stone buildings tell stories of politics, but its trees speak of peace. Between power and silence, it found harmony. The Parliament rises above the river, a living memory of democracy. And when the flags flutter in the wind, it feels as if history itself is breathing. In winter, the Rideau Canal freezes. And what once was a path for boats becomes a road of ice. Families glide across it, as if moving through a dream. Ottawa is like this, serious and gentle at the same time. Proud yet welcoming. Old yet full of life. In the gardens of spring, tulips paint the ground with color and hope. In autumn, the wind carries golden leaves. Like memories that have not yet chosen to leave. And when the sun sets behind the Parliament, the city dresses itself in silence. a silence that is not absence. But respect. Because Ottawa is not meant to be rushed through. It is meant to be heard slowly. Vancouver as a meeting point. Between the ocean and the mountains. Between the urban and the wild. Between humankind and nature. Here, the horizon has two halves. One of steel, the other of snow. The city is born from the mirror of the sea. And grows toward the clouds. Between a skyscraper and a pine tree. Between a modern cafe and a silent trail. It lives in balance. In Stanley Park, the wind carries ancient stories. The trees keep the wisdom of the First Nations.
and every path leads to a piece of peace. From there, the sun sets over the Pacific. Painting the sky in orange and gold. It's a show without a ticket. Seen only by those who know how to stop and look. In winter, the mountains behind the city turn white. And at their feet, the cities seem smaller, but never less alive. Vancouver breathes freedom. It moves at the rhythm of those who live slowly, without losing the pulse of the world. It's the kind of place where the sound of waves speaks louder than words. And when night arrives, with lights reflecting on the water, Vancouver becomes a beautiful memory you haven't lived yet. Victoria is delicacy. A poem written in petals. A garden by the ocean. Here, time doesn't run. It walks among flowers. The city blooms all year long. Roses, lavender, tulips. Each season has its own color, its own fragrance. The streets are calm. The cafes smell of tea. And the sea whispers nearby, as if singing an old song. Butchart Gardens is its heart. Thousands of flowers open in silence, forming paths that feel like dreams. At the harbor, boats sway lazily. Seagulls carve lines across the blue sky. And the sun says goodbye slowly, painting everything in gold. Victoria is the meeting of British charm and Pacific serenity. It's a city that doesn't need haste, because it already lives inside harmony. Here, even the wind feels gentle. Winnipeg is the quiet center of Canada. A heart that beats slowly. Beneath layers of ice and courage. Here, the cold is not an enemy. It's part of the soul. It is both trial and poetry. In winter, the city freezes into beauty. The trees dress in white. The air becomes crystal, and time itself seems suspended. But inside the houses, there is music, laughter, and warmth. Because those who live here have learned that the strongest heat doesn't come from fireplaces. It comes from people. Indigenous culture beats in the galleries and voices. The past blends with the present. In stories told beside the fire. The Forks Market is the city's beating heart. There, among aromas and conversations, people gather to forget the cold. And when the wind cuts through the streets, Winnipeg answers with art, theater, music, poetry. Creativity blooms where winter lasts the longest. Because this city understands something essential. The cold only conquers those who forget to feel. Winnipeg is made of resilience, of hands that reach out, of voices that warm one another. And when the first light of spring touches the ice, the city smiles. Not because it escaped winter, but because it conquered it once more. Edmonton is light in the midst of cold, color in the midst of white, proof that art can bloom even in winter. Here, creativity is not a choice. It's an instinct for survival. When the cold closes the doors, the city lights its ideas.
The streets become stages, the walls become canvases. In the night sky, a ceiling of inspiration. In summer, the city awakes in celebration. Festivals of music, theater, and food fill the squares, turning the silence of the north into a chorus of joy. The Fringe Festival is the most famous. For days, Edmonton vibrates with laughter, applause, and impossible performances. It's art proving that imagination is also a kind of warmth. And when the winter returns, with its long nights and deep skies, the city fills with lights. At ice castles, palaces of ice shining like blue dreams. Edmonton is contrast. It is creation and endurance. It is cold and fervor. And sometimes, when the wind grows still, you can see on the horizon the northern lights dancing. A silent reminder that even the sky here is an artist. Calgary is the meeting between the past and tomorrow. Between the Wild West and the future. Between humankind and the horizon. Surrounded by the Rocky Mountains, the city lives with its eyes turned upward. Here, the sky is immense and time generous. Calgary was born from courage, from settlers, from cattlemen, from those who believed that even on the cold plains, hope could bloom. Today, it's a modern metropolis of glass, steel, and ideas. Yet the spirit of the countryside still breathes through its streets. In summer, the Calgary stampede transforms the city. Ropes, hats, laughter, and dust. For a few days, time smells again of leather and freedom. And when night falls, the city dresses in light. The reflections of buildings dance over the Bow River, as if the horizon still had something to say. Calgary is a reminder that modernity need not erase its roots, that tradition and innovation can walk side by side, like horse and wind. Halifax is the sound of the sea turned into memory. It's the scent of salt mingled with the wind. It's the point where the Atlantic touches the heart of Canada. A city of sailors, of farewells and returns, of letters time never brought back. Here, every lighthouse keeps a story, and every storm a name. The harbor never sleeps, nor does the past. The waters of the Atlantic whisper memories. Of ships that sailed and never returned. Of loves that waited by the shore. But Halifax is also renewal. A place where the horizon always offers another chance. Colorful houses climb the hills, as if trying to see farther. The winds carry ancient songs, a mix of sea, melancholy, and hope. Pier 21,
The old gateway for immigrants still echoes with the footsteps that began here. People who arrived with fear, but stayed for love. Halifax is a city that feels, that listens to the ocean before it answers, that lives with one foot on land and the other in the sea. And when the sun sets on the horizon, its golden reflection over the water seems to promise that what departs always returns in some way, in some time.
St. John's is the beginning of the day. The first light to touch Canada. Here, the sun rises before all others, and the sea receives it in silence, as if guarding a secret. It is the oldest city in the country, yet its heart is young, colorful, alive. Houses painted red, blue, and yellow climbed the hills as if trying to reach the sky. The wind carries tales of sailors, of shipwrecks, and hopes, of people who learned to speak with the sea. Signal Hill watches over everything. There where the wind never rests, the first wireless transmission in the world arrived. And since then, St. John's has never stopped communicating with the infinite. The city is small, but its soul is immense. It has the strength of stone and the tenderness of those who live upon it. It has the scent of salt, the sound of pubs filled with music, and the laughter of those who do not fear winter. St. John's is both a harbor and an embrace. It is the place where the land ends and the dream begins. And when the sun rises over the Atlantic, turning the rooftops to gold, it seems to remind the world that every dawn is a promise. Banff is the reflection of Canada's soul, a blue mirror between eternal mountains. Here, the world feels new. The air is pure, the water crystal, and the silence
The silence is as deep as prayer. Lake Louise shines like a liquid jewel. Its impossible blue seems dreamt into existence. But it is real. Cold, serene, true. The mountains rise around it, like cathedrals of stone. The wind enters them softly, as if paying respect to a temple. Banff is a place that cannot be explained. It can only be felt. It is effortless beauty. The calm the modern world has forgotten. Here, time doesn't pass. It dissolves. In winter, snow covers everything in white, as if the world itself were breathing peace. In summer, the trails open. The scent of pine fills the air. Deer walk between the houses. The lakes reflect the sky. And every sunset feels like a repeated miracle. Banff is Canada looking inward. A reminder that nature is not a backdrop, but an essence. And those who arrive here, even without saying a word, understand everything.
Canada doesn't end at its borders. It ends within us. Because those who visit it take away more than memories. They take silence, calm, breath. Between mountains and lakes, between cities and forests, this country teaches what the world sometimes forgets: that greatness lies not in noise, but in stillness. Here, the code teaches humility. Distance teaches patience. And beauty teaches gratitude. Each city, each face, each road is part of the same melody. Slow, serene, eternal. Canada is more than a destination. It is a mirror, a reflection of what we seek and rarely find: peace. And when the journey ends, something remains: a desire to return, or perhaps to stay in silence. Like the pines that stand before the wind. Because the north that once seemed distant, now lives here,
inside the chest, between the sound of the heart and the echo of remembrance.